Hey, what's up guys, Riff here. So today we have a lot to go over. We're going to cover some situations involving big streamers, the usual suspects who are once again being laughed at for their ridiculous behavior. We're going to be looking at some stuff involving epic girl boss Pokimane, who is once again sweeping for Hasan Piker in a very shameless manner, and also we're looking at Hasan once again crashing out over Asmongold, even though Asmongold had nothing to do with the situation he is initially crashing out about. In fact, Hasan goes as far as to give social lessons to Asmongold about how to be more likable around other people. That's very rich. But let's start with this. Some more fallout from the 2025 Streamer Awards. It was filled with all sorts of controversy and drama, but there was one very common theme, and that was stuff involving Hasan, who decided to show up to this event literally dressed as Chairman Mao. As pointed out by Ethan Klein here, this is a brutal and incompetent leader from Chinese history who is believed to be responsible for somewhere between 40 to 70 million deaths of his own citizens during a time where they weren't even at war with anyone. And also the outfit makes a lot of sense when you realize that under his regime, they executed tens of thousands of dogs, seeing them as symbols of pampered bourgeoisie that his communist regime was out to eradicate. Wow, that's funny. It sounds like they hate every aspect of Hasan Piker as a person and also his own dog. But anyways, he's gonna simp for Chairman Mao, and nothing's going to happen because his circle of people in LA are spineless and won't do anything about it. But during the Streamer Awards, there was a very common theme of making jokes about Hasan shocking his dog. Here's one example.
Stay seated as much as possible. Hasan, if you see Sea-Dog get up, you can use your remote.
Yeah, guys, Hasan Piker is totally cool with all the Collargate jokes. That's why he's been totally not seething about it for the past 2 months or so. But the sweeping is going across not just his LA streamer circle jerk, but the sycophants on social media. Look at this. To this day, in response to the jokes at the Streamer Awards, people are saying stuff like this. They're joking about it, referring to Collargate and zapping his dog, because it didn't happen. We have returned to the ultimate copium. It never happened is the narrative people are going with once again. And Godspeed on this ratio, by the way. I hope you achieve it. But yeah, that was a theme of the whole night. He was trying to either receive jokes about it or make jokes about shocking his dog. And it just shows how insecure he is about this. He's trying to literally ruin the joke so people stop making them. In fact, he's gone even further on his most recent episode of his podcast, praising the situation. He's now happy that he's being viewed as an animal abuser instead of a terrorist.
I wanted to thank you. Not because of all the controversy and stuff and no one yelled at me, but because there were jokes in the monologue that you had about me and Kaya that I had, of course, said yes to ahead of time. But it was cool because now I can joke about like the electrocuting Kaya stuff. So no one is calling me a terrorist. I realized because like past 2 years, everyone's like, "Oh, he's a terrorist."
Oh, I've made terrorist jokes about you, but now.
Oh no, that was fine. You making those are fine as well.
Wait,
but
what?
You made terrorist jokes about me?
I'll call him anything.
Yeah, me too.
But everyone was calling me a terrorist for the past 2 years because of the Israel stuff, right? Which sucks for Israel because everyone's on my side now. Suck my dick. Anyway. It's true.
Hey,
well, hold on.
Hey, you ever been on Fox News?
No.
Just get there.
Yo, let's get there. But my point is like that was like much trickier, I think, because like when people say that, then other people are like, "Ooh, what is it? Oh, well, like this guy's controversial or whatever." But now, like, oh, you zap your dog, it doesn't hit the same as terrorist.
Yeah, can you believe the shamelessness of this guy? He is literally giddy that people are viewing him as a animal abuser instead of a terrorist or a terrorist sympathizer. That's how low the bar is for Hasan. He is happy that that's how people view him now. And there's other comments from this clip we'll get to in just a second, but let's read some of the replies to this tweet sharing the clip. In quotes, "I'd rather be an animal abuser than a terrorist," end quote. "He's both. Those are not mutually exclusive labels." In quotes, "I'm only an animal abuser, guys," end quote. Let's call him a dog zapping terrorist. He's trying to make the joke die out. That is exactly what he is doing. He is trying to act like he's cool with this. He's cool with these jokes and he prefers it. But that's not the reality. He's been crashing out about it for like what, 2 months at this point, ever since Dogtober 7th, as they like to call it. Just a week ago, he had a literal mental break because of this image right here. He was walking down the street and someone approached him and simply posed for a photo holding up a meme from Collargate. Hasan literally went insane about this. In fact, he went as far as to compare someone posing next to him with a meme to Emiru being sexually assaulted at TwitchCon. Yes, he went there. In his mind, those two things are the same. I can't stress that enough, okay? That is the disgusting comparison he is trying to make. But anyways, there was another part of that clip where he made it very clear that Cutie Cinderella and the people on the staff at the Streamer Awards, they went to Hasan and made sure he approved of the jokes, which is really interesting because clearly other jokes during this event were not approved. And it shows, once again, favoritism and people propping up Hasan. But think about what happened to Kai Cenat. He was basically called Diddy by FanFan, one of the people co-hosting this event, and he clearly didn't like it, okay? I mean, who would like that? Okay, yeah, it's a joke, it's an edgy joke, but he was called Diddy for his hairstyle, by the way, in front of all of his friends and peers and hundreds of thousands of people watching the live stream. And that was not something he approved of, clearly, and he didn't like it, which is fair. Fair reaction, especially when you don't know the person who's even calling you this. It's not like they're friends or anything. But going back to Hasan, all of this is showing immense favoritism. He gets all of the heads up and he approved because he wants to continue to sweep this stuff under the rug. But he's also coping in other ways by basically saying the whole room hated the Collargate jokes.
Everyone joked about the remote. Dude, no, honestly, people in the room were actually not the remote jokes at all. And it made me realize that like a lot of people on the internet, they love that shit. But a lot of people in the space were like, ugh. But I mean, I don't really give a shit. I obviously played it off well, but in not really knowing what to expect this year, because like, you know, despite this being a fairly big year for me and this community as well, this is this has been my most like politically impactful year of my career for the past 12 years. This has been the most impact that I have directly had, this community has directly had. If there's one thing that I think has ruined streaming, it's the drama. It's the endless drama baiting. You know? It's the endless drama baiting and the parasocial nature of like how certain fandoms will lean into certain agendas, right?
I gotta be honest, out of all the jokes that were told that night, the Collargate ones landed the hardest. Not to say they were perfect, the delivery from these hosts were absolutely terrible. But yeah, he's acting like the room was completely upset. I think people were just happy to see anyone poking fun at the situation with him present in the crowd. But now it's even less impactful because we know he approved of these jokes in advance. But he's saying that most people didn't like it. They thought, ew, this whole situation's gross. Don't joke about that. Well, here's the comments on this post. The voices in his head, maybe referring to the people who were upset about the jokes, are the people in the room with us now, Dog Abuser Piker. Because it's the LA Streamer Echo Chamber Fellatio Awards, bro. Hasan can't be this dumb. He can. It's probably his worst year in my opinion. I mean, his career and image is perma-damaged even if he's not falling off or losing fans, no matter how he looks at it. And there is no one to blame but himself. All this drama goes back to him for what he says and how he responds. Yeah, big year for him politically, getting disavowed by his heroes, stuff like that. But you can see this comment he made about this year being his most politically impactful year. That's funny. I think the biggest impact he had was shocking his dog Kaya. That was some maximum impact if you're asking me. But yeah, this year was very impactful for him. Negatively, okay? There's so many things he's said over the past year that make him look awful. He has become a sycophant for communism, like full-fledged soy-facing when receiving the Little Red Book, all these things. And now he's known as the dog zapper. That is his legacy now. And to address what he said earlier in the other clip, nobody's going to forget you sympathizing for terrorists. No one's going to forget you platforming them or praising terrorist organizations like Hezbollah and others. Like, nobody's going to forget this. But the first and foremost thing people think of when they think of Hasan right now is dog abuser. Congratulations. What an impact. Good for you. But a big part of this shows, again, the sweeping. That is a very common theme throughout this video. It's the sweeping that people do for Hasan to try to help him, I don't know, remedy his terrible reputation. And one of the greatest examples of this comes from the girl boss herself, Pokimane, who recently was doing a media share stream, and someone sent in a clip of Hasan abusing his dog. And boy, she responded in a very interesting way. Sweep, sweep, sweep is basically what she did.
Sure. Hey.
Mods. Do I have mods?
This is absolutely phenomenal in all the worst ways for people like Pokimane and Hasan. It proves these people will do anything to sweep for their LA streamer friends, no matter how dumb it makes them look. Now, for context, the full clip of what she's reacting to, right here, see that dog and its tail wagging? Hasan would grab his dog's tail right there and yank it backwards and then say he's going to effing kill it, okay? Now, for those who don't know, pulling on a dog's tail is very dangerous. In fact, it can paralyze a dog. So it's just straight up abuse, okay? There's like no questions about it. Now, Pokimane, who, you know, she's an epic gamer. And honestly, I believe it now. Because her reaction speed to this clip, how fast she paused it, I mean, that is some like world first parse type reaction speed right there. It's amazing stuff. And it tells us two things. Number one, only seeing a few frames of this clip, she already knows it. She already recognizes this clip because she's clearly seen it before. Which tells us, yeah, she knows about all this stuff involving Hasan. And number two, it shows that she will overlook anything for her friends in LA, including Hasan. In fact, it's not like Pokimane collabed with Hasan like 3 years ago and just kind of like hasn't said anything about him as a result of Collargate. No, she collabed with him during Collargate and ignored everything going on. She tried to feign ignorance and act like she had no idea what's going on. She doesn't have all the facts. Oh, she has all the facts. She knows all the clips. She knows all the controversy, but she doesn't care. If this was anyone else, if this was Asmongold or someone she doesn't like, she'd be torching that individual. But Hasan, she overlooks it. This clip is about as telling as it can possibly get about how shameless and fake these virtue signaling streamers are. But hey, while we're on the topic of Pokimane, this is slightly off topic, but I wanted to cover this other clip a couple days ago, but it just kind of like fell through the cracks. So let's watch Pokimane share a message about celibacy?
Tell you a secret? I'm really into celibacy, and that can range from not kissing on the first date to saving yourself for marriage. It's a whole spectrum, and honestly, there are so many upsides to pacing yourself when it comes to intimacy. For starters, you can avoid becoming attached to the wrong person. We all know what that's like. And that's because both physical and emotional intimacy releases oxytocin, which makes you feel connected to someone, even though you may not be compatible. We often think that falling in love is a mystical magical, rare experience, but sometimes it's really just hormones and chemicals. 2, I get to preserve my energy, and instead of constantly pouring into someone else, I can focus on the things I want to accomplish first.
Ladies and gentlemen, a classic case of good message, bad messenger. I don't want to buy anything that Pokimane is selling right here. One of the biggest narcissists you'll ever see. In fact, she's the one who, about a week ago, we talked about this. She literally engaged herself. She bought herself an engagement ring and engaged herself. Like the ultimate narcissist move. But yeah, here, she's saying basically you should like figure yourself out, pick the right person for a relationship, even save yourself for marriage. I mean, these are positive things to share, but it's the wrong messenger. I'm not buying it from Pokimane, especially she's doing this whole like purity spiral here. She is someone who quite literally created or forced Twitch to create an IRL tab and category on their platform because of people like her. There are endless clips of her doing very provocative things that she's clearly doing on purpose to be clipped. And, you know, like an example of this, like if you search, like if you're trying to find like an image of Pokimane for like a video, right? Like a normal image, just be like, oh, here's Pokimane. I don't even want to ever again search her name in a search engine, no matter the platform. I'm never doing. I don't care if it's Google Images. I am not searching Pokimane anything because the results are so degenerate and cursed, it's unreal. And then the real stuff is basically like her trying to show off for the camera, whether she's like bending over in front of the camera or she's taking like provocative angles or she's like showing off her feet and doing stuff like that. Like she knows what she's doing. And now she's in this purity spiral, basically telling people all this advice. You're not the right messenger for it. And it's just kind of, yeah, fake, as you would expect at this point. But here's the part of the video where the Asmongold derangement syndrome is hitting hard. You know, anything that happens to Hasan, more than likely he's going to somehow drag Asmongold into the situation. And that happened again with the Streamer Awards, where now Hasan, of course, the guy with the immaculate PR, is wagging his finger in Asmongold's face, saying that there's a reason you weren't invited to this event, and it's because you don't have social skills, and that you have a negative impact on things.
And I say this as someone who, once again, literally third most watched streamer in 2025. I won 0 nominations. You know, it was my most impactful year in terms of politics. 0 nominations. If I'm not complaining, why the f is anybody else complaining? What are we doing? What are we doing? You know, calm down. It's ridiculous. And if you're upset about like not being invited or whatever, maybe you should think about how you conduct yourself or how you carry yourself or what your impact is in this space. Okay? You're not complaining because your friend put it on, bro? No, brother, no. Because I'm seeing it as a positive thing overall. It's not good to be totally cut off from the rest of the space. It's my greatest strength, I would say, is that, you know, I have the capacity to socialize with people, unlike many of my other counterparts in this sphere, in a way that like Asmongold can't, for example. You know, he could, he could do it too. It's just his politics are doo-doo.
Yeah, the dog zapping terrorist sympathizer is now trying to tell people like Asmongold to self-reflect on why they're not invited to events like the Streamer Awards. That is incredibly rich because this guy was invited to the event and featured in countless clips, by the way, despite not being nominated for a single award. Don't you find that strange? And we'll talk more about that in just a second. But yeah, of all the people to wag their finger at someone else and say, like, you have bad PR and you don't know how to socialize like this dude, no, again, bad messenger. And Asmongold would respond to this and other connections people are trying to make, basically saying, you know, they're both like people who share some hard opinions that can get them in trouble. And he responds to why people don't like Hasan and flips it back on him because at the end of the day, you can collab and do all this effort, but you're the dog zapper guy now.
My background doesn't matter. The level of
if you have a extensive political science background and the culmination of that career, the biggest footnote that you've made is the fact that you've shocked your dog, I don't think this is really the thing that you want to go off of. I don't think that makes you look good. Like, you're telling me you went to school for this, you've had a career for this for 10 years. You know, I say before, I say it again. If you build 100 bridges and you suck one, you're not a bridge builder, you're a dick sucker. If you go to 100 political rallies and you help 100 political candidates, but you shock one dog, you're not a political activist, you're a dog zapper. Sorry. I didn't make the rules. I've always said you need to start collabing with other creators who are more aligned to your system and beliefs. You need an ideological front, dude. I don't really, like, again, I don't treat collaborating with people as an opportunity to push some sort of agenda. I don't know why he does that. I think it's cringe. I think a lot of other people think it's cringe. That's why they don't collab with him. But in a general sense, obviously some people do. We got invited to the event, sure. But, like, in a general sense, people don't want to have anything to do with him. So I feel like that's... I don't want to do that either, because it's weird.
He's absolutely right. At this point, like, he could do whatever he wants. He's the dog zapper guy, okay? I feel like maybe because it's more of a PG label than the other stuff he's been called, maybe that's why it sticks so hard, but the whole Collargate situation broke the mold, okay? It went mainstream. And a lot of people are aware of this. I mean, it made, like, national news and stuff. And that's who he is. He's just the dog zapper guy now. And that sucks for him because this guy wants to be known as some politically savvy guy. And now he's just the dog zapper Twitch streamer. And that sucks for him. Other people maybe wouldn't care about not being taken seriously in those fields. Like, Asmongold doesn't care about being taken seriously for his political opinions, but Hasan does. He went to school for this stuff. He has made his whole life about this, but no one's ever going to take him seriously because he goes around LARPing like he's a Chinese ruler, a brutal ruler, and like simping for terrible regimes constantly, and then he zaps his dog on top of it. But like I said just a couple minutes ago, there's an interesting thing that was discovered by people like XQC. They found out that during this Streamer Awards, the editors of this event, they work for Hasan.
Wait, did Ostenox edit this?
Best stream duo and a performance by Ty Dolla Sign.
I mean, that makes sense. Now I get it. I get it. I mean, because I thought I just fell off that hard, but I mean, if Hasan's editor edited this thing, I mean, it makes sense. I'm knowing this shit. That's crazy. I debunked it. Another win for the debunker. Not one Asmon clip. I mean, so we want his opinion. He's had a few clips. At least one clip. Look, Hasan is no zone clip, but me in a maid outfit. Actually edited the whole thing. That is wild, brother. Dude. I could be the most mauled about somebody for like one stream, and I'll act like whatever, and I won't ever act any differently. This guy is mad for his boss, and he's actually editing the whole thing around his personal drama. This guy is such a cuck. That's just sad. That's just sad. Buddy, how are you letting these random people that don't even know you just control your life? That's crazy.
Yeah, so this explains why Hasan, who's not even nominated for a single award, is featured in more clips than probably anyone else. It's obvious because his editors are glazing him up and promoting him, despite really the fact he shouldn't even be there in terms of the clips. He wasn't involved in any of the awards. In fact, XQC was actually nominated for an award. He did not win, but he was actually nominated, but he wasn't featured in anything. He was excluded by these editors. And it makes a lot more sense when you see how they reacted to the related clips where one of them said, no offense to XQC, but I had to edit a chain of streamers nominating each other, which was easy for most of the people featured. It's just that not many people nominated you for anything. Would have been hard to fit. Couldn't guess why, since you've always been so nice to people. So, as an editor, you're going to botch your job because you believe one of the people who's actually nominated is not nice to people? Is this a nice guy competition? Because guess what? You'd have to consider Hasan someone who treats people nicely. Yeah, I don't think that one adds up. And also, like, you're saying XQC wasn't nominated for many things. He was. He was literally a nominee for, I think, Best IRL Streamer. Like, Hasan wasn't. So that doesn't even make any sense. This guy has Hasan fanboy brain, okay? And he continues on saying, don't get me wrong, you're a piece of crap who sold out your whole audience to an illegal gambling site, and nothing you do can ever make amends for the $100 million of your own fans' losses that paid for your contract. But you were in the last 2 vids I edited for the Streamer Awards, so it's nothing personal. It's nothing personal. Ladies and gentlemen, it's nothing personal as I attack you and somehow blame XQC for a scenario that didn't happen, I guess. But anyways, here's the last one. He says, he cooked something, but it's his concurrent viewers. Keep leeching off the FaZe kid's brother. You can save it. So also, there's a bias towards FaZe, who was featured throughout the nominee list as well. So yeah, that's Hasan's editors right here, really proving that they're not completely and utterly captured by their dear leader, Hasan Piker. But yeah, that was the Streamer Awards and everything going on with some of the participants and some of the drama continued here. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.